Welcome. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps spread the word and helps make more of these videos possible. If you like this video even more, you can make a recurring donation via Patreon or a one-time donation via Ko-fi. The links are all in the description below. Enjoy the video.
Hello, this is Kara, and I have another video for you today. Today I will be doing a review and introduction of the Daniel Smith Essential set, which is one of my favorite sets to recommend to beginners. I know a lot of people say beginners shouldn't start with Daniel Smith, but I think this is a perfect set to start with. When I got this was $27. I think the price has gone up slightly, but I think, you know, under $30 is a really good set. You do only get 6 colors, but they go a long way, and you can mix just about everything else you need. The only thing I would recommend adding to it as a beginner is a small tube of burnt umber. Now, the tubes that you get in this set, they look like this. This is the size of the tube, and you get 6 of them. I'm just showing you because I don't know what I did with the other ones, but you get 6 of them. I've used it all up. So if you buy another small tube like this of the burnt umber, that's around $7, and I think that's a great set for beginners. And I'll go into a lot of detail into the mixing, but I do want to talk about this. These are artist grade paints. They produce really high quality images, and one way to learn, and I found helps for me, is to have high quality materials when I'm learning, because that way I know if there's a problem with something that I'm doing, I know it's not the materials, it's something that I need to learn and I need to work on, as opposed to having the materials almost hold you back as you're learning, if that makes any sense. I know a lot of people disagree, but that's just my opinion. So if you would like to learn with something like Daniel Smith, then this is a perfect set for you, because it's, you know, in the $30 range, which is really good. And you get a lot of paint. Each of these small tubes here, each of these small tubes fills up 1.5 pans. 2.5 of these half pan sets. So there's quite a bit of paint there. And if you have a tube wringer, like for toothpaste, you can wring it out and get every single last drop, because every single last drop is usable paint. So so when you put them together, they look like this, and what you get are 3 yellows. Even though that one looks like an orange, it's a yellow for the purposes of mixing. You get 3 yellows, 3 reds, and 3 blues. And I'm gonna stop and show you the mixing, and when I show you the swatching, we're gonna do the mixing. When I do the mixing, I'll talk to you about how to very easily mix exactly the kind of greens, purples, and what is it? Yeah, greens and purples that you want to mix. And I know some people struggle with mixing greens and purples, but it's super easy, and I'll show you how to do that really easily. The other thing is, I do recommend getting this burnt umber, because you can make a gray with this set without getting the burnt umber by mixing 1 yellow, 1 red, 1 blue, and sort of fiddling it with it. But if you're a beginner, I think it's a lot easier to, instead of going through all that, it's just mixing the French ultramarine with the burnt umber, and you can very easily get a wonderful gray, and it's super easy. So that's the way that I recommend. So without further ado, I'm going to first go through the swatching and talk a little bit about the colors and the company, and then I'll go back on the other end and talk to you about the color mixes, and then finally we will do some comparison with some comparison charts that I have here, and I'll go into the comparison chart in more detail and talk to you about what I did with this comparison chart. And finally, I'll compare it with other brands of watercolor paints that you can get around the same price range, as well as ones that cost more or less money. All right, so I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so this is the first color in this set. This is Hansa Yellow Light. A lot of sets will give you, instead of a Hansa Yellow Light, you'll get a lemon yellow. That's a really nice color. This color makes wonderful oranges with Pyrrole Scarlet, but you can also add just a pinch of Quin Rose to this to make a wonderful sort of a gold color, which like a wonderful gold color. You can also get really vibrant greens with phthalo blue. This is New Gamboge. I did replace it in my permanent set with Hansa Yellow deep. The reason why they didn't include Hansa Yellow Deep is that New Gamboge is more transparent than Hansa Yellow Deep, but I like the Hansa Yellow Deep because it's a single pigment. But that's not a big deal, but that's just what I prefer because I do a lot of mixing. Anyway, this is Pyrrole Scarlet, and it's very orangey red, and that's one of the easiest way to know how to mix a good orange. You take an orangey yellow like a New Gamboge and an orangey red like a Pyrrole Scarlet, and you mix them together and you'll have very nice vibrant reds. You can also mix muted purples with this and French ultramarine. This is Quin Rose, and it's one of those colors that I didn't think I would like because I'm not a huge pink fan, but this is a great color for mixing. You can get wonderful muted oranges with New Gamboge with the Quin Rose. You can also get muted purples with the phthalo blue, as well as vibrant purples with the French ultramarine, which this is the color that I would mix with a burnt umber to get, you know, perfect gray. It's perfect easy gray, especially for a beginner. This mixes with Quin Rose to make beautiful purples, as well as muted greens with New Gamboge. You can get these wonderful sort of muted background greens with this color. You can get almost brown color if you mix it with the Pyrrole Scarlet, almost but not quite a true brown if you mix it with Pyrrole Scarlet. And the very last color, which is coming up next, is Phthalo Blue Green shade. And phthalo blue green shade is very strong, what they call a tinting color, which means that a little bit goes a long way. You can mix it with Hansa Yellow Light to make really vibrant greens, or you can mix it with New Gamboge for more muted greens. It makes muted purples with Quin Rose and almost brown colors with Pyrrole Scarlet, but it makes really nice muted purples with Quin Rose. So what you really get in this set is what they call a primary triad, a triad being 3. So you get all 3 of the main colors, red, yellow, blue, and you get 2 of them, one warm leaning and the other cool leaning, and there's a lot of focus in beginner videos about which is cool and which is warm, and I think that's less important than which way it leans. And what I mean by that is, for example, the phthalo blue is a green leaning blue, and the yellow is a vibrant greenish leaning yellow, and you mix those two together, you get vibrant greens. And that's pretty easy to remember, and that's the way that I've used it for me, and it's been extremely helpful, and it's a lot less stressful. I don't always know exactly, you know, if something is warm or cool, but I know which way it leans, and that makes everything super easy. This is the ultramarine blue, and doesn't really look all that purplish, but compared to the phthalo green, it's definitely not, compared to the phthalo blue, it's definitely not green leaning, and it's definitely the color that you would use to mix vibrant purples with a purplish leaning or pink leaning red. My favorite ultramarine is the Sennelier Ultramarine Deep. This one I think dries a little bit too hard, but again, if you're a beginner, I think it's more important to have a vibrant blue. This is the Quin Rose. This is the pinkish red or purplish red, and this is perfect for mixing with the ultramarine or French ultramarine for making vibrant purples, or mixing with a phthalo green to make less vibrant purples. So that's one of the easiest ways to sort of know how to mix the color that you want. And as you can see from the purple that I mix, that this is a very nice, clean, vibrant purple that I actually really enjoy. So that's another way to sort of do that. This is the sort of warm yellow, and this is the New Gamboge, which mixes with a phthalo green to make phthalo blue to make muted greens, or the Pyrrole Scarlet for making very vibrant oranges, as well as various other colors. That's the Pyrrole Scarlet there, and then you'll see me mixing up the orange. I'm not sure why I went in there and changed my mind on the orange. I wanted a little bit more yellow. I feel like mixing oranges is sometimes, that's something about it that I sometimes end up actually using the Hansa Yellow Light with the Pyro Scarlet to mix oranges, and that actually works out really well too. So it's all about what kind of orange you want, and that's where the mixing charts really help. And you can see from here the completed chart of all the colors we swatched and mixed together. Next up, we're going to see some completed pages as well as some comparison charts.
All right, so I just want to show you guys a couple of completed pages. I've actually been using these paints for almost a year, but I just haven't gotten around to doing the review, and I figured that I just needed to hunker down and actually do the review. Anyway, this is one of the most recent sketches that I've done with them. You can see where I've used the various colors to mix things up. This looks like, you know, there's another color here, but it's really just the blue and the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber. And you can see a little bit of the granulation on the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber. And I might have used a little bit of purple here too. This is a one recent completed page. This is another. This is actually part of the reason why I decided to do the review now. My wife was threatening to have this framed and put it up as our Christmas tree because, you know, we have cats and so on and so forth. I did use a little bit of metallic paint. You can see a pinch of metallic gold here, a pinch of metallic brown, and a pinch of metallic silver, but underneath those are the actual colors. So I did paint that brown and then put in the metallic colors. But what I was trying to do here is I was trying to make a green tree look like it was being backlit. I'm not sure how successful it is. My wife likes it more than I do. So I'm not sure if I went over the chart, but basically you just show the colors that you mix, and then for every mix I show 4 different possible mixes. I wouldn't normally do this for like a 12 color set or a 24 color set, but since it's only 6 colors, I figured let's just have fun with it and go all out. And you can see all the stuff that you can get. That's before you even add the brown. I thought about doing the brown, and I decided to just go against it because really the focus is this introductory set, which I'm not sure if I clarified, but it does not come with the brown. The brown is something that I think you might want to get in addition to. But you can see all the mixes that I talked about in the mixing process. The vibrant purples you can get, orangey red with a greenish blue. You definitely get a much less vibrant purple. So so that's sort of the illustration of the thing that we talked about. I did want to show you guys that. All right, so next up is I'm going to do a few of these completed, these large mixing charts. I have mixing charts for a ton of paints, but I don't want to do all of them only because really the value in this set, especially for a beginner, is the price. So if I go through the trouble of doing the big comparison, we'll do a smaller comparison later, but I just want to show you that there is a little bit of a variety that you get with mixing these larger colors. You can see when you have sets with more colors. However, if you're trying to save money, for example, I think the set of 12 of these Polish paints and the set of 6 Daniel Smiths are around about the same price. ColoringKaria would be around about $12, $13. So you can see where the price difference is in the vibrancy. Just look at some of these oranges in the middle. Compare some of these oranges here. You can compare the green and just the general vibrancy, in addition to the fact that these will be more light fast than the ColoringKaria. Same with the Cotmans. The Cotmans are really a struggle to get a lot of vibrant colors out of here. So when you see the comparison, it's kind of hard to compare 6 colors to 12, but that's what I'm doing here. Don't worry, in a minute I'll do the correct number by the correct number. Anyway, so you can see this in Elier getting half as many colors. You do get more vibrancy, and you do get you lose a little variety, but you actually don't lose as much variety as you would think, because you can get you can get purples. You can get a lot of these same purples with the colors that you have here. Plus, remember, there's also a brown here. Let's see here. The White Knights, which I consider more of a student grade paint, but I know some people consider them more artist grade paints. I don't see them as vibrant as the Daniel Smiths here. So so there's that. So I'm going to pause and then get out the actual comparison chart that I made for the Daniel Smith paints, and we're just going to compare the Daniel Smith paints. It's going to be much more quick than I would normally do, just because we really only have the 6 colors plus the brown. All right. So normally I would compare the charts like this, these 2 charts like this, but since we only have the 6 colors plus the brown, I'm just going to do it like this, and this is going to be the Daniel Smith on the bottom, and you can see the huge difference with the Cotmans. You can see that that's the Cotman, that's the Sennelier student brand, and again, these are going to be a little bit less expensive, a lot in the case of the Cotman. I think that Cotman, that full set of the Cotmans was $10. This ColoringKaria is going to be a lot less expensive. These are the White Knights, which actually performed really well. You can see this is a more warmer gray than I normally use, but I don't know why I did that. But you can see again the mixes that we talked about and the process for getting the mixes that we talked about. The same here. Next up is the Lucas 1862. These I will also be reviewing soon. I was actually quite impressed with these. These are another really good affordable option if you want to have a lot of colors and you want to have some vibrancy, and you aren't necessarily concerned with, you know, having the extreme amount of vibrancy that the Daniel Smiths have. The Lucas 1862 is a great value, especially if you plan to buy the colors open stock one at a time. That's where the Lucases really shine. This is the Winsor Newton Professional. I know a lot of people say the Winsor Newton Professional are the best paints out there, but I really find the Daniel Smith to be just all around more vibrant. The Senneliers layer better, the core spread more, so it's kind of, you know, to me, and they're also quite expensive here in the US. I think that they've gone down in price recently, but I think they still probably need to go down a little bit more. This is the Winsor Newton Winsor Newton Professional, and next up is the Royal Talens Rembrandts. Now I haven't spent as much time with these. These are also paints that I'm planning on doing a review, but again, you can see just how the Daniel Smith just blows these out of the water, especially the mixes and just the colors, just so much more vibrant. This is the Turner Artist Watercolors. Now what I like about the Turners is that they're granulating, and they have a lot of the paints have a lot of textures. That's one thing about these this set of the introductory set plus brown, is that most of the colors, except maybe for the French ultramarine, are quite smooth, and they don't have as much texture as you will find in the Turners or some of the other brands. The Schminke, I have to spend a little bit more time with these. I did just get a larger set of the Schminke. I'm not sure why Schminke and Sennelier both have this issue where they just can't, I don't know that the sets give you the best of their lines, and I'm not sure why companies do that. But anyway, Schminkes are going to be much more expensive again, and I don't think they have a set of 6. The smallest set of the Schminke they have is a set of 12 for about $100. So in the US, although I did get mine for $60 from Amazon about almost 2 years ago. So I think if you check on Amazon and you put it in your shopping cart, you go back often, you can get the Schminke Horadam. These are the artist grade Schminke. This is a Sennelier artist, and this is some of my favorite. This is probably my favorite brand. I had a full set of these. I'll give you a link up there to my swatching out the full set of the Senneliers. At some point, I will get another dot card for the Daniel Smith and just swatch out all of the Daniel Smith. But I will also do that at some point. Anyway, so you can see that the Daniel Smiths are more vibrant than the Sennelier. However, I like to do a lot of layers, so I tend to prefer the Sennelier over the Daniel Smith. I think the one color that's the exception for the Daniel Smith is usually for the Sennelier in the sets is that I will take you can see this brown is not as vibrant. I will usually use the Daniel Smith burnt umber. Even in my Sennelier sets, I'll take out the Sennelier burnt umber and replace it, and the burnt sienna, the burnt umber and the burnt sienna, and replace both of those with the Daniel Smith. And that's about it for the rest of my sets that are Sennelier. Then they're all Sennelier. Right? Anyway, so that's this one. That's the versus the Sennelier. The Holbein Artist Paints. You know, I have the Holbeins for a while. I got to spend more time with them. I had a review sort of ready for a while, but there's nothing about them that makes them pop for me, and I don't know why that is. But anyway, that's the Holbeins. The Mission Gold, same thing. I know a lot of people really like the Mission Golds, but I just found them to be blah. And the other thing with the Mission Gold is that this the burnt sienna for the Mission Gold, very, very difficult and really stressful. And that's part of the reason why I like the ultramarine and burnt umber, is that it's super easy to mix just a clean gray and not have any drama. So, you know, so their burnt sienna, I was a little bit less than impressed. So this is the core mini set. You can see that the ones that I mix are really good. These paints just explode on the paper. You can see the core. If you want a lot of flow in your paints and you want to do flow, you just get the cores. And then that's the one I recommend if you do a lot of wet on wet and you like this sort of flowy explosion of paint like this, then the cores are really good, especially in the US where they're quite affordable. This is the core tubes, same thing. There's not really that much of a difference. And this is the M gram. Grams are only sold in tubes. But anyway, I'll be right back with the conclusion. So, in conclusion, who is this set for? That's my cat, Bella. Don't pay her no mind. This set really is for, if you're a beginner, you can totally use this set, as I've shown, and get a lot done and learn a lot about color theory, color mixing, as well as get everything you need to be able to create great paintings, especially if you add the brown. It's a very affordable way to get into artist quality paints with this, the 7-color set. You can do that, plus the half pans for a little bit over $40, or if you decide not to get the brown, for just under $40. So so that's a really affordable way. If you're an experienced artist, this is also a great way to try out the Daniel Smith brand and sort of introduce yourself to them and see how they work, see how they feel dried in a palette. Sorry about that. Overall, this is a really good value, especially since, like I said, you get 2.5 full of these with each little tube. So there's quite a lot of paint here. There's quite a lot of versatility. Overall, I highly recommend this. I know a lot of people said this is a terrible set for a beginner, but if you look at my chart and you make a chart just like it and you follow it, especially if you get the brown and you add a brown, you put another row of brown the same way that I did, then you can really learn a lot, and you can reference your chart when you're trying to figure out what you want to make, and you can sort of practice and learn a lot. So I think this is a really good introductory set if you are just getting into watercolors. You don't need to get these half pans. You can use anything. You can use an old ceramic plate. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of palettes that you can use. So overall, I highly recommend this set for both beginners and people who are just new to the brand. Or if you just want to fill out and get some of these colors. I know a lot of people like a lot of funky palettes, and you just want to add and make sure that in addition to all your funky palettes, you also have the dual primary. I find the dual primary easier to work than the cyan, magenta, yellow, black. I find that much more difficult to work. So I like the dual primary. You can see it's super easy, and it works really well for me, especially if you do what I said. You remember, I know a lot of people put the colors together in their palette. They'll have the warms and the cools, or they'll separate them some other way, but I like to put things in the order that they'll mix in, so that the correct orange, the correct yellow that would mix with a red would go next to each other, and so forth. You can still obviously do the ones that aren't next to each other, but this way, this is a good quick reminder of how to get vibrant colors really quickly
quickly without having to futz around and try to remember in your head which is cool and which is warm. Anyway, I think that's it. Me and Bella will say goodbye. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. What other brands of watercolor would you like to see me review? Have you tried a dual primary set? What are your thoughts on the dual primary set as a whole? And what are your thoughts on this set in particular? All right. Don't forget to stay tuned for a video of Bella, who will pretty much be like this in the video. And I will see you guys next time. Oh, I made a mess. And I will see you guys next time. All right, bye.